All right, everybody, welcome back to the Rams Faithful podcast. We got Jordan back this week. He was
Hey,
absent last week, but for a very good reason. Jordan got married, so congratulations to Jordan once again.
thank you,
I know
thank
we
you.
we mentioned it last episode. I know you watched it, but it was definitely not the same without Jordan. So we're back into the normal swing of things here with Jordan and JT. But another weird thing about last episode was the Rams lost. And I think that was the first, I mentioned it last episode, but I think it was the first time we recorded an episode after a loss since episode one, after we lost to the Niners.
Yeah.
So you and I have not recorded after a loss, knock on wood, since episode one. So we do have episode nine now. Speaking of nine, let's see the jersey. Let's see.
Yes,
Let's
repping
go.
the Stafford today
Go.
for sure. A league MVP, Hall of Famer.
That's right. League MVP is right. I think he only proved it more against Arizona. We have to talk about the dominant victory our Rams had in Arizona this past Sunday. Matthew Stafford looked great, 3 touchdown passes. What are your first thoughts about the Arizona game? Where do you want to start?
Yeah, it went pretty as expected following what I would say was a let me down game at Carolina. You can't win them all, but I think I saw a lot of people say this. It could be a blessing in disguise, and it's all just like what you take from it. So I think this group responded really well, and I think they'll continue to respond really well. Got a couple of really tough games coming up, so we'll see how those go. But shout out Coach Mike LaFleur. He did a great job. McVay was sick. So I know LaFleur kind of took a bulk of the offensive duties and the play calling. So shout out LaFleur. I mean, the offense when you score what was 45?
45, yeah.
Yeah. And it was the first times in Rams history I heard that there were three passing touchdowns, three rushing touchdowns, and zero turnovers. So
Wow.
can't ask for
Maybe
much more offensively.
no, maybe the best offensive performance in Rams history if you look
Yeah.
at it on paper. So yeah, and like you said, a disappointing game in Carolina, but could be a blessing in disguise, like you said. Obviously, we never want them to drop a game. If I could go back in time and change the result to make them win, obviously we would. But I kind of think, and I don't want to stretch as far as to say it was the best thing that could have happened for the Rams because I heard people saying that, like word for word, they're like, this is the best thing that could have happened for the Rams was losing to the Panthers. I don't agree with that. Obviously, we'd rather win, but it was a good wake up call. And I know I kind of sound like a casual because I feel like anybody says that after a loss, like it's a good wake up call. But if you think about it, the whole world, all of the media, everybody's kissing your butt because you're the best team in the league. You tied for the best record in the league. You got the best coach. Your quarterback's the MVP. You got the best receiver in the league. You got one of the best defenses in the league. Everyone's giving your team flowers, but you kind of needed that little wake up call to say, hey, this is the NFL. Anything can happen. You can't just waltz into Carolina or anywhere expecting to just win a game and think this is going to be easy the rest of the season because it's not. And thankfully, we got a little bit of help this week to get back to that 1 seed. So it was a blessing
Yes.
in disguise. Would I rather them win? Yes. But we move on to Arizona. And this is a game, and I said it on my TikTok account, Jay Torillo, for anyone that wants to go follow. I said I will do whatever the top comment says that the Rams win by at least 10 because I'm very confident they're going to come out and get a statement victory after a bad loss. And that is exactly what they did. They win by over 20 points, 45-17 your final. One of the touchdowns they gave up was with their backups in. So it was really like 45-10. So many guys that we can point out. This guy did well. That guy did well. That guy did well. One guy I want to talk about, you probably already know who it is. It's my guy, Blake Corum. I mean, he
Yes.
has been great. I did see something that people think that he's the new RB1, which I think is really silly because it's been like 2 games. What are your thoughts on the whole running back tandem that the Rams have right now? And what would you like to see from these two, from Kyron and Blake, over the next few weeks as we wrap up the regular season?
I like the dynamic that they have right now for sure. I think when you talk about RB1, just in a truer sense, I think Kyron Williams is a better all around running back in terms of like blocking, pass catching,
For
that
sure.
sort of thing. But right now, if you look at like explosive percentage and just like the over the last 2 games, Quorum's at over 10 yards a carry. So
Yeah.
he's just coming in, spelling Kyron Williams and just dominating. I think he's faster than Kyron Williams. I think that's fair to say. So although they are very similar running backs and do run somewhat similar, they're similar build for sure. The announcers always get them confused when they're in the game. They never know who's running the
Yeah.
football for us, but
It doesn't help
they're
that their numbers 23 and 22 either.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But that being said, they're very different as well. So I like what they're both bringing. I think Kyron can kind of come in and, get it going offensively. And then Corum come in once that defense starts getting tired. And that really just puts them in a bad spot. Because when you got Corum with fresh legs, it just makes Kyron easier to run in the third and fourth quarter when you need him. And he's flourishing too. He's having a great season. I told my dad earlier today when he picked me up from the airport. I need to see Kyron Williams in the Pro Bowl. He's going to be over 1,000 yards again, and he's already at 11 touchdowns. That's 3 straight years doing that. So he's
Yeah.
been consistent. He's been a great player, and I want to see Kyron Williams get the credit he deserves. Also, one last thing, shout out. I played both Kyron and Corum on my fantasy team yesterday, so they popped
There
off
you go.
for
How,
sure,
how
for
much
sure.
how much did Kyron have? I know Corum had like 24 or something.
I think he had like 17. So they definitely because he had 80 yards rushing and a touchdown, probably a couple of catches. So he put in some work too. We were giving it to Arizona pretty good.
That's a gutsy call starting both running backs from the same team and it ended up
Yeah,
working out. You're kind of a
yeah,
genius for that.
yeah, for sure.
That's pretty sick.
There's a method to the madness for sure.
Definitely. The guy in my fantasy league who I came in second in the regular season. I was 11-3, and the guy who was
Nice.
12-2, who was in first place, he just picked up Blake Corum, and I'm a little mad at myself that I didn't jump on that because waivers in our league aren't Wednesday, they're Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
So we he jumped on it first thing this morning, and I woke up and saw he added Blake Corum. I'm like, I should have done that. But
Yeah,
I have Gibbs who can drop 1,000 points in a week, and then I have Josh Jacobs who's good for at least 15 every week.
yeah,
Uh, so do I need Blake Corum? No, but he's my guy, so I would have liked to have him. But I made a little bit of a TikTok video saying and I put it on the Rams Faithful Instagram as well. If you guys want to go follow that Rams Faithful on Instagram, I was basically just hyping up my guy Blake Corum, and I know I say this every episode how he's my guy. I have his jersey, blah blah blah, whatever. But I think people finally need to start realizing that he is an elite running back in the NFL. Like I was sick and tired of even Rams fans. He had one fumble against the Niners in week 5, even though Kyron did as well, but he had one fumble and everybody lost trust in him. And in the last few weeks when Corum was getting more carries than Kyron, everyone was like, "What is going on? This is ridiculous. Kyron needs to be in the game more than Blake Corum. He's way better." Which I'm not saying Kyron's not is or isn't. I'm not saying he is or isn't better than Corum. I'm not saying he should or shouldn't have more or less carries than Corum. But I don't think it's ridiculous to say that Corum's right there with Kyron and they can be this 1A, 1B running back situation instead of, okay, Kyron's your main guy. Corum can come in only when Kyron needs a rest a few times a game. No, they're 1A and 1B. You can seriously have both these guys come in at key situations and break one loose. Like, I don't mean to hate on Kyron. I love Kyron. Grew up a Rams. He grew up a St. Louis Rams fan, just like you and I did. So, he's great. But when was the last time Kyron Williams broke a run for over 30, 40 yards?
right.
When? I mean,
It's been a minute for
it's
sure.
been a minute, right? And Blake Corum did it this past week against Arizona to blow the game open. That was the dagger, right? And then he had a
Yep.
nice little stop, drop, and roll celebration to go with it. So I don't I don't see why anybody would. I'm not saying people hate on Blake Corum, but I feel like the Rams fan base is a little hesitant to support the Blake Corum train because of how much they like Kyron, but you can like both, you know?
Right.
Like you guys watching this, you can be a Kyron Williams fan and you can also be a Blake Corum fan. Like they can coexist, you know what I mean? Like I kind of like to compare it to like a goalie tandem in hockey. Like some teams have like 1A and 1B and they just like rotate on and off so they can get rest. That's kind of what Kyron Williams and
Yeah,
Blake Corum are in the NFL
I
for the
like
Rams.
that for
Yeah.
sure.
So I gotta pull out the Blake Corum jersey. I should have worn it today, but I gotta pull it out for hopefully when we beat Detroit because that is
Yeah.
another huge game. What are your instant thoughts on that matchup against Detroit? Do you like it or not?
Man, talking about running back duos, you don't got to look too far to see what some people say is one of the best running back duos in NFL history
Mm,
going against Detroit this week. I mean, Gibbs and Montgomery have been dominant over the past 2, 3 seasons, so that's definitely a challenge right there. I think here's where I'm confident in the Lions game. If you look where they played the Cowboys last week, the Cowboys, it was 44-30 if I remember correctly.
mm,
And the Cowboys kicked like 5 field goals and turned it over like 3 times. And they still scored 30 points. So that
yeah.
being said, we could easily, very, very easily score 40 points on the Lions. I don't think this game will be. I think this game will be kind of. I don't want to say slower pace, but I don't think both teams will be in the 30s. I think early score prediction. I'll say Rams 34-27. I think a
Mm,
close win. Higher scoring, but I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. But I think we can move the ball on him. I think Stafford's going to want to definitely get his MVP train going. Like you've been saying, I love what we have going on right now with Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. I expect that to continue leading into the playoffs. And Puka, coming off probably his best game of the season, I think he's historically played pretty well against Detroit, too. I
yeah.
remember him giving them fits a few times at least. So they don't have anyone on their team that can guard Puka or Devontae. So look for a high scoring Rams output. And I think we'll win a close game.
Yeah. I think we'll win a close game too. Obviously, I'm never really going to predict the Rams to lose unless I really, really think they're going to lose badly for some reason or really not having a good season, which isn't the case this year. This is a game that's definitely circled on Stafford's calendar as a former Detroit Lion himself. I know that fan base. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how many Lions fans are watching this since it's a Rams podcast, but I don't know. I don't really understand the hate that Lions fans have for Stafford because if you I feel like any quarterback besides maybe Tom Brady on that Lions team for that whole decade or 12 years, whatever it was, how successful could you be on that Lions team for that decade? He brought them to the playoffs a few times. It's better than almost any quarterback in NFL history would have done.
Right.
And I don't really understand why when he comes back to Detroit a few years ago, he gets booed. Now, you can boo whoever. Freedom of speech. I don't care. But I kind of find it ridiculous because he did a lot for that organization. It's not like he wanted to leave. He was traded. It's not like he left in free agency. It's not like
That's
he
true.
demanded a release. He got traded. I don't really understand it. And I'm going to be honest, another thing that I want to talk about is the other quarterback playing in this game. We brought him up a few weeks ago, I think. You said you're a pretty big fan of him. I love Jared Goff. He was my favorite player on the Rams. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks ever. Um, I think I gave this little TED talk a few weeks ago on this podcast, but I want to kind of briefly go over it again. Um, Jared Goff brought us to a Super Bowl for the first time in what 17
Yeah.
years. That was obviously people are going to say no, it was Sean McVay, no, it was this guy, it was that guy. It was a big part of it was Jared Goff. And I think people, especially Rams fans, fail to realize how important he was in turning this franchise around because before we drafted Goff, this team was in shambles. Let's be real. Let's be real. There's no other way to put it. With Goff, he helped turn them around. Obviously, was McVay a big part of it? Of course. Were there other guys that were a big part of it, like Aaron Donald and other guys on that defense? Of course. But Jared Goff is a big part of it, and I hate that Rams fans are probably going to boo him this upcoming Sunday, which, I mean, what's your opinion on that? Do you think he deserves to get booed, or what do you think the situation with Goff is returning to LA for the second time?
Well, I'll say this. When he was here, I'll try to be completely unbiased. I was a fan of Jared Goff. I never did buy a jersey. I had a love-hate relationship with Goff for sure because I wanted him to succeed being our guy, and I believed in him too for sure. I thought he could be that guy. It was just for me. I think it can come with time too. Quarterbacks can get better, but I think McVay was a little frustrated with some of the mistakes that Goff tends to make in big sort of game situations. I know he did bring us to a Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure he's like 2 or 3-0 against the Chiefs. So those are big games. Obviously, that game we beat the Chiefs, best regular season game ever. That was a great memory. So Goff had some great memories. If I was attending the Rams Lions game, I definitely wouldn't boo him. You know, I got love for Goff. I don't think he deserves any boos. He did a lot for this franchise. I think in some ways it's worked out both best for both parties. You know, Stafford, of course, he is playing the best football of his career. And, you know, you could argue Goff is playing the best football of his career, too. They got a good little group going there in Detroit. He's played great for them. You know, if it wasn't for Matthew Stafford, Goff could be in those MVP talks, maybe with a couple more wins. But so yeah, I mean, I understand people's love-hate relationship with Goff. I was there with it. I think Goff will have a, solid game. I'm hoping our pressure can get to him, but I look forward to Goff coming back. I hope they don't boo him. I would hate to see that, but we'll see. I know they've been kind of hyping up this Rams home crowd lately, so let's see how we show up this Sunday.
Yeah, I don't really understand. Like I said, I said my part on the Jared Goff take. I love Goff, always have, always will. I know he was a little upset and frustrated when the Rams got rid of him. I know he's not very fond of the Rams organization after we traded him, which I can kind of get. But at the same time, like not to hate on Goff, but his last year as a Ram was the worst year of his career so far. I think we can agree on that. The 2020 season, I don't know what was going on, but he had a bad year, and it costed us the division that year, if you remember. We ended up actually beating Seattle in the playoffs, but it costed us a higher seed and a chance to make a run for the Super Bowl that year. So when we traded him, I was devastated, but it ended up being good for us. Stafford ended up being our guy. Goff ended up being their guy. They went 15-2 last year, so it's not like they're not capable of winning a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. So they definitely have plenty to look forward to with Jared Goff. I did. I'm not gonna lie. Like a week ago, I saw something that an NFL reporter tweeted out saying like, if they don't make a deep run, he's gonna want to leave and he might go back to the Rams. And
I
and
saw that too. I was gonna bring that up. I saw the same thing for sure.
yeah, I made a whole video on it, and then people were commenting like it's a parody account, it's fake, and I was like, no way, I just fell for that. I go to the account, it's like some fake NFL insider that's just making stuff up. I'm like,
Oh
you gotta be
dang,
kidding
okay.
me. Like, I really and the video, of course, it's one of the videos that like blows up too, where it got like over like 25,000 views, and I look stupid now, so I had to comment like, guys, I know it's a parody, like I'm just saying like hypothetically, but it was annoying because like I would love to like all right, let's say hypothetically the Rams do or don't win the Super Bowl. Stafford retires.
Mhm.
How satisfied would you be if the Rams go out and trade for Jared Goff and he plays for the Rams for another 4 or 5 years after Stafford retires?
I will say it wouldn't be the worst heir to Stafford. I could think of worse scenarios for sure.
Right.
Age isn't really the problem for me. I think those parties just I don't think it's gonna work with him and McVay. I don't think they would do it. For me, it would be what do they want in the trade compensation realm for him to. So I don't know. I would opt to go younger. I know McVay tends to prefer an older, established veteran quarterback, but I really think this is the after whether Stafford retires or not. We got that Falcons pick, which is looking better and better. I really think I saw a mock draft today, actually, which had us trading up. It had the Giants being last place, right? So they
Mm,
had the first pick. And then we did a trade with them since they already have their quarterback. And we
mm,
took that kid out of Indiana,
ooh.
Fernando
Oh
Mendoza.
yeah, yeah,
So we took a quarterback number one overall. I would love to see that, If we could win the Super Bowl and get the number one overall pick, that sounds like some Lakers James Worthy. I'm all here for all that type stuff. Like
yeah.
let's win it all and get the number one overall pick. That'd be a dream for sure.
That would be nice. It was kind of hard to root for the Falcons this past week against Seattle because it's like you want them to lose, but we kind of needed them to win. At halftime, I don't know if you saw, it was 6-6 at halftime,
I
and then the
did
final
see
score was
that.
like 37-9. I'm like, what the heck happened? I was watching until halftime. Then when that game went to halftime, I think I turned on Bills Bengals, and then in the top left corner it said like 100-yard touchdown return, kickoff return for a touchdown. After that, it was all Seahawks. I mean,
Yeah,
man, I don't know what the heck happened, but I mean, Atlanta's just bad. What are they, four and
yeah.
nine now?
Something like that, yeah. I think they are 4-9. I think you're
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
So
I mean,
hopefully they keep losing.
they're just having a bad year all around, and obviously Penix is out for the year. I don't
Yeah.
think Kirk Cousins is that bad, but I guess the team around them is because 4-9 is not good, and we know how having a bad record without a first round pick feels because the year after we won the Super Bowl, we didn't have a first round pick, and all of our guys got hurt, and we finished 5-12. So we know how
Yeah.
that feels, but that's got to suck for them. But it's good for us. We got a pretty much, I don't want to say guaranteed, but almost guaranteed top 10 pick for next year, and we could still
No,
win the
for
Super
sure.
Bowl.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I don't think it's crazy to say the Rams are in the best situation any NFL team is currently in. Would you agree
I
with that?
agree. I would definitely agree for sure. I mean, it's hard to argue because the crazy thing is too, yeah, we got the Falcons pick. We still got our own pick too.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there with two first round picks. One's probably going to be top 10, and we're the number one seed. And I thought about this too. I told my dad, if we beat Detroit and then we beat Seattle, that would give us complete tiebreaker over Seattle, and that would like walk up the one seed pretty much. I
Yeah.
mean, I think there still could get a little weird, but if we can just like win our next two games, like we got this. Like we're sitting pretty for sure.
Who who scares you in the NFC?
Man, I don't want to sound arrogant, but right now none of these teams scare me at all. Like shout out, I live in Dallas, so shout out that explosive offense gives me a little bit of worry. Like you never want to get into a 40-40 type game, but I
Hmm.
don't know if the Cowboys are going to be good enough to make the playoffs. And even if we did, I think we would handle the Cowboys no problem. No one scares me out in the NFC. The Seahawks are definitely. I got a lot of respect for their team and being in the division. Them and San Fran. That familiarity aspect of it. So those teams are a little bit scary, and I don't want to write the Eagles off as dead, but man, they're not looking good. I don't think the Eagles are dead as in oh they won't be competitive or they won't even win a playoff game. I just don't see them repeating as champions this year. And that's all. They could come back next year and win the Super Bowl, but I don't think this is their year. I think we're better than them, and I don't think that they're going to come into SoFi and beat us.
Yeah, I agree, and it's good to see them lose just because they did beat us. So if we finish with the same record, they'd have the tiebreaker. I'm not necessarily trying to go into the snow again in January and play not just them, but anybody in that cold weather. Um,
Yeah.
Another reason why the one seed, obviously we want the one seed, but one of the main reasons why it's such a big deal to get that one seed is I would so much rather in late January play in LA than in Green Bay or Chicago. Like
Yeah.
that would be rough for a team that's used to playing in an indoor stadium in sunny Los Angeles. Then you have to go play in 10-degree weather in Chicago or 10-degree weather in Green Bay. Like, and I feel like I don't know if you would agree with me on this, but over in my life, I feel like we'd never beat the Packers, especially in Lambeau. I think we've beaten them like once at home.
I remember we had Goff and company with, I think with Todd Gurley still. We beat him, I want to say, like 2018. I think it was maybe the 2018, maybe the 2017 year. I
Yeah,
think that was in LA though. But yeah, that's the only time I can remember beating them, beating the Packers. We've had a tough spell with them.
we were beating them by 3, and then we punted to them with less than 2 minutes left, and they fumbled the punt, and we recovered, and then we just took a knee. But with prime Aaron Rodgers coming down the field on a 2-minute drill, down 3, I
Yeah.
don't know if he doesn't fumble that punt, maybe we don't win that game, and maybe we don't beat the Packers for another 10 years because that's what it's felt like. So, yeah,
Right.
they've had our number. Um, I I'm not gonna say that I'm scared of the Bears, but I would be scared of playing in Chicago. I don't like going into that cold weather in late January. I don't even like going into Seattle. And to answer my own question from before, if there's any team in the NFC that scares me, it's Seattle. Only because they're in
100%.
our division. And if Green Bay finishes with a better record than us and we get the 2 seed, it's not the end of the world. But if Seattle finishes with a better record than us, we're at least the 5 seed at best. We could be the 6 seed too. So it really is all going to come down to that Thursday night football game next week after we play Detroit against Seattle. That is going to be the game of the year. I think this Detroit game is going to be a similar game to last year's game against Buffalo, where it's really high scoring because I think both teams have a really electric offense, both good quarterbacks. Seattle, I think, is going to be the complete opposite, where it's going to be low scoring. Like I could see like a 17-14 game, honestly, because Seattle's defense is legit, and I
Yeah.
think ours is too. Ours ended up playing better in the last 3 quarters of this last week against Arizona. So there's a lot on the line in these next few weeks. But is there anything in particular that you want to see the Rams improve on in these next few games?
Yeah, just little things here and there, like in the Carolina game and the Arizona game. I don't want to call anyone out specifically because there was a lot of blame to go around, but man, I want to see the cornerbacks step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought we got exposed a little bit with the Panthers and Jalen Coker. Man, he was giving us a tough time, and then this week Michael Wilson, we blew him out. But in the first half, I was like, goodness, is this Larry Fitzgerald over there? He was destroying us. So, yeah, just and that's tough playing cornerback in the NFL. That's a tough thing to do. So I'll give them some grace. Just sure up that pass rush because that was another thing too. We can blame the cornerbacks. I know I missed last week's episode with the Panthers, but on a couple of those plays where they got those fourth down conversions, man, where's that pass rush?
Yeah.
Where's that big time pass rush? We're supposed to have this dominant group on the D line, and I just want to see the defense as a whole. We towards the end of the season last year, that group really locked in and was kind of the strength of your team. I'd love to see that again this year. Let's lock in defensively, keep running the football, and finish off the year strong. Get the 1 seed. I'm a little, I don't want to say nervous, but like it's tricky for me if we go into week 18 and we're resting players and then following that with a bye week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's a
agree.
lot of rest. And I know we're a little bit of an older team, but well, I trust McVay to figure that all out. But let's stay healthy, stay strong defensively, and finish out the year.
Yeah. Speaking of the secondary, like you said, I think it's fair to cut them a little bit of slack because Akella Witherspoon is just coming back from an injury, and I think the original plan for them was to slowly get him back into the game plan defensively. But now with McCreary on IR, now
Yeah.
Akella Witherspoon's just thrown into the fire, and he's in his defense, he's not in midseason form because it's what his fourth game. Everyone
Yeah.
else is past midseason form. So it's going to be hard for him to catch up. And with that being said, Forbes needs to step up because, and I'm not, no hate on him, but he gave up another touchdown this past week when, it didn't matter. So it's okay. But he's got to get it together for Detroit and Seattle because when we play
Yeah.
Seattle, we don't necessarily have that star number one corner like we did when we had Ramsey that can lock down JSN. Because the best thing about Seattle, why we always had their number the last 5, 6 years, is because when DK Metcalf was at his best, we had Jalen Ramsey to lock him down and go one on one with him pretty much the whole game. And that was fine. Now they have JSN. We don't have that Jalen Ramsey kind of player. So either Akello's going to have to step up or Forbes is going to have to step up and fill that role for that week. And that's going to be huge because then the Seahawks also have another pretty good receiver, and his name's Cooper Kupp. So
Yeah.
you're also going to have to guard that guy too because especially after losing us the first time, he's got us circled on his calendar. So
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. I think the secondary needs to step it up. I think they need to lock in and really get the job done. And if they do, I really like where this team's going. So, yeah.
Yeah, let Quentin Lake get a little bit healthier, and hopefully, like you said, I know Akello's working his way back in. So I'm a huge fan of Akello. Like, if he
Me
can
too.
get back to how he was playing last year, he's extremely underrated, and I think he can be a number one corner. To like, you're never gonna lock down JSN, but he can make plays there and make it tough on them.
Yeah, for sure. I think like I said, if the secondary can step up, there's not too many holes in this lineup right now. Besides the secondary, obviously Quentin Lake being out, that's another thing that you brought up. That's a huge loss.
Huge.
Have you seen that he's like tweeting during the games? Like, yeah,
I did see that.
it's
Yeah,
pretty funny. He's
he's
like,
funny.
Puka's the best. Like, and speaking of what Quentin Lake said on Twitter, he's not wrong. Puka is the best. I mean, where would you rank him amongst wide receivers right now in the league? Because he just looks unstoppable.
Yeah, all the oh man, it's such a tough time because we're in like sort of a golden age of wide receivers right now. Like there are so many just, these guys they're beyond stars, they are superstars,
Yeah,
elite superstars. So when you got Chase, Jefferson, JSN coming into his own this year, I hate to say it and give credit to a Seahawk, but unbiasedly, I would maybe say, okay, if you want to take JSN one, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, JSN one. I'm taking Puka though as my guy. I feel like when it comes to Puka, I trust him to make a big play when you absolutely need it more than any other player in the league. Like throw it, Puka's down there somewhere. I
yeah.
trust Puka to make that play. And
Yep.
I don't know if I trust JSN quite as much as I do Puka. I think he's a little quicker than Puka, maybe a little more polished than Puka, but I think Puka's a little dirtier too, a little stronger, a little tougher, and I like that. I think it reflects our team, and he's a great leader for our team.
He's so tough to tackle. Like I think, and not to bring in my favorite player again, but that's kind of what like having Cooper Cup as a mentor was like for him because he's so good after the catch, just like Cooper Cup was in his prime with the Rams. So I think that was great for him to have that leadership behind him for the first few years of his career. So he's great after the catch. He's so hard to take down. It's his first touchdown at the end of the first half this week. He caught it like the 5 and just dragged the guy into the end zone. So
Yeah.
he's a beast. It's so awesome watching him play, but it's going to be even better watching him play against Detroit, and hopefully they can get another win. So, any last thoughts before we wrap this up, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Detroit game. It's good to be back in town. Shout out to my wife, great honeymoon. But looking forward to some Rams football this weekend, and shout out Colby Parkinson. He's been playing
Yes,
great lately. Small shout out to him. I got him somewhere on my fantasy team too, so he's killing it right now.
he's been big with Higby out. Someone needed to step up. I thought maybe it would be Terrence Ferguson or Davis Allen because Davis Allen had a few touchdowns early in the year, but it's been Colby Parkinson. He's been the number one tight end right now. So and I don't hate it at all. He had a touchdown against Tampa Bay, then he had a touchdown against Arizona. 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games, I believe it is for Colby, and I always
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
celebration he does too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he's been great. I agree with you. Shout out to Colby Parkinson. He's been phenomenal. So if I could give any last thoughts, it would be beat Detroit, stay in the 1 seed, and keep just win, baby. Just win.
Yep.
That's all you got to do. Just win. So that'll be it for episode 9 of Rams Faithful, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can. It's just Rams Faithful Pod on Instagram. If you want to follow me on TikTok, it's Jay Torillo. And Jordan, you want to plug in your socials?
Yeah, I got Instagram, just J_Barrow3. And, thanks for watching. Horns up, and we'll see y'all next week.
Sounds good. Go Rams.
Go Rams.